Für den Fachmann heißt das, beide Komplexe wurden ausschließlich auf Inflationsbasis finanziert. Die Bevölkerung sah das zunächst nicht ein, weil die Durchschauung dieser monetären Zusammenhänge für den Mann auf der Straße zu kompliziert ist.
It would take time for these inflationary pressures to be felt, and so for the moment everything looked rosy. Especially when in 1936 Hitler ordered German troops to re-enter the demilitarized portion of Germany, the Rhineland. There was little international protest. Germans saw all this as one more sign that their country was regaining its self-respect.
Eine positive Sache war das auf alle Fälle. Ja, warum sind denn die Massen letztendlich dann nachher diesem Mann zugelaufen? Warum? Muss doch einen Grund gehabt haben. Und es war ja auch so, es verbesserte sich so manches. Alles ist ein bisschen besser geworden. Also ich kann es nicht so nachempfinden, ich weiß es nur rein von unserem persönlichen Haushalt her. Es ist aufwärts gegangen. Und, ich fand die Zeit besser. Also besser, wie muss ich sagen, sicherer, besser als heute. Aber das zu sagen, ist natürlich ein Risiko. Aber ich sag's trotzdem.
The Nazis organized pageants to entertain, like the Nacht der Amazonen, the Night of the Amazons, held in Munich in the 1930s. Celebrations in which only those the Nazis considered racially pure could participate.
Ich war Madame Pompadour, sehr ausgeschnitten, schönes Dekolleté mit einem Reifrock. Ich empfand es schön. Man hat schon den Dünkel gehabt, dass man sagt, der Deutsche ist was Besonderes, das deutsche Volk soll ein Rassevolk werden, soll was Besonderes werden, soll über den anderen stehen. Die Mädchen ebenso, wie Gott sie geschaffen hat. Wie es ja auch in den Kirchen zum Beispiel, die Sixtinische Kapelle, die sind ja auch nackt. Die sind alle nackt. Ne? Aber der eigentliche Sinn, es war, glaube ich, wirklich nur ein Fest fürs Auge und zur Erbauung und zur Freude der Menschen, die dahin gegangen sind. Das Feuerwerk selbst, da habe ich natürlich nicht mehr viel davon mitbekommen, weil ich war so aufgeregt, weil ich das Pferd kaum bändigen konnte. Gell.
But if you didn't fit the Nazi image of the perfect German, then life was very different. Here in Munich, the same city where the Night of the Amazons was held, the Nazis demolished one of the biggest synagogues in Germany. They said they wanted the space for a car park. The Jews were systematically excluded from German life. The 1935 Nuremberg laws outlawed marriage between Jews and other Germans and declared that Jews were not German citizens. Other discrimination followed.
Wasn't it a problem for you that you were working in a system that allowed Jews to be pushed out of their position, to lose their wealth, their property? Surely this was a great injustice. How did you feel about that?
Also die allgemeine Meinung war, dass die Juden in Deutschland es übertrieben haben. von 4.800 Rechtsanwälten in Berlin waren 3.600 Juden. Außer Furtwängler gab es keinen Theaterleiter, der kein Jude war. Und das ist dann eines Tages zu viel, sodass das allgemeine Gefühl war, dass die Juden zurückgedrängt wurden, wurde nicht bekämpft.
Nazi anti-Semitic propaganda hugely exaggerated the number of Jews who were in professions like the law or the theatre. And the Nazis never gave the true reason why German Jews were concentrated in particular walks of life, that the Jews had been banned from other careers for hundreds of years. Thousands of Jews emigrated from Germany during the 1930s, realizing that there could never be a fair or safe place for them in German society for as long as the Nazis ruled. Those who remained always risked the attentions of the secret state police, the infamous Gestapo. And here in the town of Würzburg lies a clue to just how the Gestapo operated under the Nazis. Almost all Gestapo files were burnt by the Nazis as the Allies came into Germany, but in Würzburg, American soldiers prevented their destruction. Only recently have the files been studied, and a surprising picture emerges of how the Gestapo actually functioned. To start with, far from there being a Gestapo officer on every street corner, there were only 28 secret police officials for the entire Würzburg region of nearly 1 million people.
I think the Gestapo could not have operated without the cooperation of the citizens of Germany. By that I mean it would really have been structurally impossible for them to do so. There were simply not enough Gestapo officials to go around. Somewhere between 80 and 90% of the crimes that were reported to the Gestapo came from ordinary citizens. The main job for the Gestapo was sorting out the denunciations. This seems to have been their preoccupation.
The citizens of a town like Würzburg didn't so much have to fear the Gestapo as what their neighbors might tell the Gestapo. Every German was at risk from denunciation. A woman who lived in this garden house on the outskirts of Würzburg in 1938 first came to the attention of the Gestapo when she was denounced by a relative. She was called Ilse Sonja Totzka, and her Gestapo file lies in the Würzburg archive. After years of denunciations and Gestapo harassment, she was sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp during the war, where she died. Her crime was simple. She didn't fit in. She avoided her neighbors and had Jewish friends.
She is put under very general surveillance, not by the Gestapo, but by the Gestapo asking her neighbors to keep an eye on her. What happens is that one neighbor after another, for one reason or another, come forward with information, but all of it adds up to really one thing. She may be just too unconventional for her own good. And of course what this does is that small town mentality, people keep after her, they keep noticing her, and it's fueled again and again by yet another denunciation.
The denunciations in her file contain mostly gossip about her, that she is acting suspiciously and has shady friends. But her file contains little that amounts to firm evidence against her. One denunciation hints that she may be a lesbian. It says, Miss Totzka does not seem to have normal predispositions. Typed in red, it is signed only Heil Hitler. Another denunciation bears the signature of a 20-year-old neighbor, Resi Kraus.
Since March 1938, Ilse Sonja Totzka is a resident next door to us in a garden cottage. She rarely has visitors. Now and then, a woman of about 36 years old comes, and she is of Jewish appearance. She has always been sympathetic. I would like to mention that Miss Totzka never responds to the German greeting, Heil Hitler. To my mind,